Lee Summit is your destination for big city vibes and small town charm.
Head to the downtown Lee Summit Farmers Market, where local meets fresh. Then grab a cup of coffee and discover a variety of shops and boutiques just around the corner. Continue the fun in downtown Lee Summit at a retro arcade bar. Discover your new beer at one of our 6 locally owned breweries. Cool off with some handcrafted cocktails at happy hour. End the night with live music and good company. Lee Summit, Missouri.
This is the best place to work.
I love working here.
I feel very blessed.
I love it here.
I look forward to coming to work every day, being a part of this team.
Like a family away from home.
Where everyone feels like everybody knows their name.
A city that supports you. We see that with our benefits.
A pension, vacation days, job security.
Being able to be heard.
We feel valued. We feel respected.
Lee Summit is a very progressive city.
It's growing, it's thriving.
We have this drive towards not just doing a job, but doing it with a spirit of excellence.
I had the opportunity to continue to grow, regardless of 30 plus years doing this kind of work.
It's more than just dollars and cents.
We're here really to give back.
Providing a service to better a community.
To go out and serve people.
To be a part of something bigger than yourself. If I would have known what I know now, years ago, I would have been here much sooner.
Officers en route, 914, armed robbery.
Member Pryor.
Thank you, Mayor. Quite a few of us are getting questions. I know I've gotten a few questions about the
plans. So I didn't know if, just for the public knowledge.
I'm not a politician. I feel like I'm just an average person in Lee Summit. They have a football field set up. Inside these cones are their football fields. Our 2-car garage is we're gonna bring the driveway back through here, and it's gonna go right here. And then, so my family has chickens. When we first got chickens, my husband said, don't treat them as your pets, treat them as chickens, because we're gonna be eating the eggs, and I would like to use them for meat. So don't treat them as your pets. Well, we now have 6 chickens that I consider my pets, and I will not let him kill for meat. So we live downtown, and we love living downtown. These are my children. The first one's Lincoln, and Amira, and Sophia, and Caleb. This is a great neighborhood. Downtown is one big community, and all of the kids get together and they play basketball, and we like to walk to the farmer's market. Here, hold my hand. It's an easy walk, probably less than 10 minutes. The farmer's market has always been a very important part of my life and my family's life. As a matter of fact, when my daughter started kindergarten, I dropped her off and I was going shopping at the farmer's market right behind Lee Summit Elementary. And I was teary-eyed because she was my first and she was going off to kindergarten. And Terry, the butterfly lady, the one that's in the purple shirt, and she used to make little butterfly stickers for everyone, she gave me a big hug and was just so empathetic to the fact that my daughter had just started school. How are you guys doing? Doing well. How are you? Yeah, very good. A lot of the farmers there, they've watched my kids grow up. I love Lee Summit in general. I love that it still has a small town feel while embracing growth and the arts and diversity. And I feel like downtown specifically embodies that. My kids go to Lee Summit Elementary, and a lot of their teachers live downtown, and a lot of the business owners from downtown live downtown. So when we're out walking downtown, we see so many people we know. I lived in Africa until I was 5, and then we moved to the United States, and I've lived in Lee Summit since. A lot of my childhood, my mom was a single mom, and I feel like I was essentially raised by my community and being on council, and it's just such an important way to give back to the community that raised me.
I state your name.
I, Mia Pryor,
Do solemnly swear
do solemnly swear
that I possess the qualifications
that day of April 2022.
The election process was fun. I got to go door to door and talk to people, which is my absolute favorite thing to do, is talking to people and learning about people. I even had people inviting me into their house for dinner or inviting me back to their house to meet their spouse. And I knocked on a door, and the lady that answered the door was my kindergarten teacher. So it was a lot of fun. Is it on? Hi everyone, I'm Councilmember Mia Pryor. Thank you very much for coming tonight. I have one on, can you not? Okay. Maybe I went. I love being a council rep for District 1. I know everyone says this, but District 1 is by far, in my opinion, the best district. Raintree Lake, that's part of District 1. I love that community. Actually, my husband and I got married at the clubhouse in Raintree Lake. I really love all of South Lee Summit. I love the growth that they're going to be experiencing soon and that they've already experienced. I wanted to say that if you guys have a concern, please come tell us what your concern is, because we can only address and help with what we know. We're there to kind of bridge that gap between constituents in the city, and we're the voice of our constituents, and we can go to the city and voice what their concerns are, what their ideas are. So if you have a concern, definitely make us aware. So my big priorities are public safety. That's always one of my top priorities. I've always wanted to make sure that first responders were supported. I think that that's super important to me and to many in our city. But also I I wanted to influence the growth in Lee Summit. I wanted to influence the type of businesses we get here and the type of activities there are to do for our families. If we're going to continue to grow downtown, how important it is to focus on people that already live here and the infrastructure we already have in place.
Our first presentation tonight is going to be Assistant City Manager Ryan Elam, who is going to talk about that very exciting Farmers Market Plaza.
But I want to show you the most recent rendering, fly-through video of that. That's really the best way to kind of get a good sense of what this will look like in the near future.
To see it developing into something as big as it's going to be across from City Hall is super exciting to me. I can't wait for it to get built and to start welcoming people into what the farmers market's going to be, but also everything else that goes along with that development.
Okay.
You want to hold it? Don't drop it.
Perfect. Thank you, guys.
Thank you so much.
Have a good night.
I'm just an average person in Lee Summit that wanted to be a voice of many that sometimes feel like they don't have a voice. Yeah, I'm not a politician. I'm just a mom that cares.
this Monday, July 14th, Legislative and Intergovernmental Relations Committee meeting to order. Can I get a roll call, please?
Chairperson Carlisle.
Present.
Councilmember Shields. Mayor Baird.
Here.
Councilmember Funk.
Here.
And it looks like we have Mr. Lovell as well.
Am I supposed to be on?
I don't know.
Are you
maybe I've got the wrong list.
Well, this is our first meeting since they changed, so let me I'll just look here real quick while we're going.
I have it here.
I think it's Carlisle, myself, Shields, and Councilmember Pryor is the alternate.
Oh, well, Councilmember Lovell, look, we just get you anyways.
No, well, not if I don't need to be. You have quorum without me?
We do, and you are not on this one anymore according to the list that we have online.
Well, I had the invite and I couldn't remember if I was still on it or not, so maybe that's why I didn't have the link. So
okay,
glad you guys got to see me today.
Yeah,
good seeing you.
Pleasure was all yours.
Yep.
See ya.
Bye. Okay.
So did we hear from Councilmember Shields?
I have not. She may not know that she's on it since
Oh,
this is the first one of all. But we can go ahead without her and I can message her. Okay, so where are we at? We had roll call. We have quorum, correct?
Yes.
Okay. So can I get approval of the agenda?
Chair,
Councilmember Funk?
I move to approve the agenda as published.
Second.
I have a motion and a second to approve the agenda as published. Could I get a roll call, please?
Councilmember Funk?
Yes.
Mayor Baird?
Yes.
Councilmember Carlisle?
Aye. Okay, so next I have public comments. Gina, did we receive any public comments on this?
Not that I'm aware of.
Okay.
Brian, did you get anything?
I am not aware of any.
Chair, no comments were submitted in advance to the city clerk.
Thank you. Okay, so next we have business. First item on the agenda is approval of the May 12th, 2025 Legislative and Intergovernmental Relations Committee Action Letter. Do I have a motion?
Chair, I move to approve the May 12th, 2025 Legislative and Intergovernmental Relations Committee Action Letter.
Second.
I have a motion and a second to approve 2025-6993. Could I get a roll call, please?
Mayor Baird?
Yes.
Councilmember Funk?
Yes.
Chairperson Carlisle?
Aye. Okay, that being approved, we move on to B. So we have presentation of our lobbyist report, end of the Missouri legislative session. Mr. Head, are you kicking this off?
Yeah, I'll just say a few opening remarks. Right now is the last day for the governor to sign or veto or allow things to go into effect without signature. So I don't know that Zach and John can really give you a true end of session because we don't know yet. But what I asked them to do is just hit a few highlights of the session and where things stand. They are going to be at your regular council meeting tomorrow evening to give the in-person full end of session report that we can do once we know the end of today. I mean, I think there's one bill we're waiting to see that may get signed today, or there's probably more than one, but I can think of one right now that we're kind of waiting to see. So with that, John or Zach, I'm not sure which of you was going to kind of give us a brief rundown, but maybe just give us some highlights and tell us what bills we're waiting on to see what happens.
Thanks, Brian. I'll kick it off. It's usually easier for me to start talking and then Zach to correct me when necessary, which is frequently. Yeah, John Hensley, Zach Pollock, First Governmental Strategies here in Jefferson City. Pleased, privileged to represent the City Elite Summit in the Capitol again this session. Over 2,600 bills were filed between the two chambers this year. Out of those, there were 67 that were truly agreed and finally passed by the General Assembly, sent to the governor. Of those 67, 16 of them were budget bills. So, about 51 policy bills made it through this year. And as Brian said, today is the final day for the governor to take action on those policy bills that were sent to his desk. If he hasn't taken any action, and he doesn't take action sometime today, the bills will go into effect. August 28th is the effective date for most bills, unless there's an emergency clause to them and they have some sort of special specific effective date. Pardon me. So first bill, we're not going to go through all 51 of those policy bills. We'll hit a couple of them that we think might be most of interest to you all. And then there are a couple budget items also that we'll highlight that I'm sure you're aware of. And I'll just say at the outset, looking forward to your meeting tomorrow night. Zach will be there in person. As I mentioned this to Brian, unfortunately, I have to be in Chicago midday tomorrow for a family funeral. So I won't be able to be there with you all in person, but we will be on our way home by the time your meeting starts tomorrow evening. And I anticipate pulling over and finding a place to sit and Zoom in. So I'll be able to see you and all of your colleagues tomorrow evening, but I'll be doing it remotely. First bill we'll mention, of course, House Bill 105. It was filed by Representative Jeff Vernetti out of Miller County, the Lake area here, and it really became the land conveyance omnibus vehicle. So fairly early in session, of course, before HB 105 left the House, Representative Carolyn Caton added her language for the conveyance of land there at 291 and 50 that she had a standalone bill for. And then there are a couple other conveyance items that were added to House Bill 105 as well. And that bill made it through. It may have been, if it wasn't the last, it was certainly among the final handful.
It was definitely, I think it was the last one to actually get done.
Of House policy bills to get through the Senate this year. So it didn't have a skin of its teeth feeling when it went through. I remember standing there in the side gallery as they finished it up. There was no debate on it, really. It went through quickly once it got to the Senate floor. But it was shortly after House Bill 105 got out of the Senate that the wheels really came screeching. So we were, of course, fortunate anytime you're able to get a piece of priority legislation through. And this time especially, we felt grateful that it got through before stuff really slowed down. So House Bill 105, with Lee Summit's conveyance language for 291 and 50, the old Troop A headquarters for inclusion in the road project there, that was signed by the governor July 2nd. So that bill is all the way through the process now. And Zach, do you want to hit the House Bill 8 items?
Yeah, absolutely. House Bill 8. We've got to really, anytime you see the speaker, please thank him, because he helped us get that total of $3.5 million for the Joint Operations Center and the interoperable communications money into the budget. And in House Bill 8, thank God we didn't put it into House Bill 19 because that one did not make it through the big capital improvement bill. He put it in the public safety budget and withstood the governor's veto pen. But if you see the speaker, please thank him for all of his help, because that 3.5 million would not have made it if it wasn't for him.
That's a great point about thanking the speaker. Yeah, the kind of the area delegation there, members of it, were enormously helpful to us, both on those budget items and on House Bill 105. The Speaker, Senator Searpoy, Representative Caton, to name a few, were great partners for us this year, working on your priorities.
And if I don't, I would be remiss if I didn't mention Representative Carrie Ing.
Of course,
because she was on helped usher that through the Democratic caucus.
Great point. Great point. Just a couple other bills we will hit on and that we will address tomorrow night as well. That made it all the way through. We're not really going to go through anything that died this year, but we will go through a few of them that made it all the way through that you might also be interested in. Senate Bill 145, sponsored by Senator Mary Elizabeth Coleman. It's the so-called lemonade stand bill. It prohibits cities, municipalities from licensing, taxing, or regulating any sort of business enterprise owned by a person 18 years or younger. That bill, I mean, I think the genesis of it was, probably some heavy-handed local authority coming down hard on some 10-year-old with a lemonade stand. But now with the threshold age of 18 years or younger, I mean, it certainly seems to drag in all kinds of actual business enterprises of types that are potentially more sophisticated than lemonade and brownie stand. Definitely one to watch. That one has not yet been signed. It's still sitting on the governor's desk, and we'll know the conclusion of that story here by the end of today. Another one still sitting on the governor's desk, House Bill 145, sponsored by Representative Bill Faulkner. This was sort of the Sunshine Law edit omnibus, for lack of a better phrase. Allows for the closure of certain records under the Sunshine Law in a few cases, including individually identifying information of a minor held by government, individual billing and usage records for municipal utilities and parks, also adjusts Sunshine request processing fee charges, and a couple of other items, but certainly one that is of interest to any public governmental body, certainly including municipalities. Another one sitting still on the governor's desk as of this moment. House Bill 199 was a huge political subdivisions omnibus sponsored by Representative Faulkner out of St. Joseph. This one was signed last Thursday by the governor, July 10th. Numerous provisions relating to political subdivisions, such as adding a wide variety too. So, really the only common thread you'll see here among these is that they relate to political subdivision. So adding river and creek bank erosion mitigation projects to the list of approved improvements that neighborhood improvement districts can undertake might be relevant in some of your areas. Authorizing Clay County to establish a county sports complex authority, modifying provisions concerning public entity contracting land banks and the KCATA. I'm leaving plenty of items out, but this is one we've been chatting occasionally with Brian with over the course of the session. And Zach, I can't remember exactly how HB 199 started, but I suspect it was with about 2% of the material it ended with.
Yes, because it got turned into the political subdivision omnibus, and I think it had something to do with municipal water.
Yeah,
I think that's what it was. I'll know for sure tomorrow night. But yeah, it got expanded in the House, and it got even more expanded. I mean, it was, what was it, 145 page substitute that we
Yeah,
had
on
to
the Senate side, I think
Yeah.
I think once that final sub came, I think at one point it got to over 200 pages.
Yeah.
And then they had to scale it back to to what it ended up with.
Because they
But yeah,
couldn't pass the Senate with what was all in it.
everybody with anything arguably relating to political subdivisions
Yeah.
tried to pry it in here. And yeah, a little behind the curtain thing. We tried cramming Representative Caton's language, or maybe all of the land conveyance language. We tried getting that into House Bill 199 because on the Senate side, because that one seemed to be moving faster than 105 was. And I think I have the timing right that they tried going to 199. Everybody got upset. They laid 199 over. Pretty shortly after that, they went to 105, passed it quickly. So we wound up getting 105 wound up getting done before 199 was, and we were trying so hard to get our stuff into 199. Anyhow, yeah, just looking for every floating boat there at the end of session. Everybody is. A couple final ones. House Bill 567, sponsored by Representative Sherry Gallick, repealed the voter-approved scheduled future adjustments to the state minimum wage, and relevant to you all, also declared that the state minimum wage law would apply to public employers, which was a change from prior status. The bill also repealed provisions relating to statutory sick leave requirements. And the governor signed House Bill 567 last Thursday as well. Finally, House Bill 595, Representative Chris Brown's bill, relates to real estate transactions, and it prohibits cities and counties from enacting prohibitions against landlords using certain criteria for tenant screening purposes, namely, or primarily, the source of income. This was the Section 8. It was called the Section 8 bill. So source of income, credit reports, criminal histories, and also prohibiting provisions that would limit the amount of a security deposit a landlord can require from a tenant. That one is also still sitting on the governor's desk. Will be interesting to see what happens there. Zach, were there any other items you think we should mention from the TAFP list?
No, I mean, we could go into many other provisions in some of these bills, but we'd be here a little while.
Yeah. So Brian, did you also want to move on to chatting about it? First of all, if there are no questions on those bills or other items, was there a federal lobbyist component piece you wanted to chat about also?
That's our next agenda items. We'll wrap this up first before we move on.
Okay. Well,
Okay, so do we have any questions from the committee? Nope.
Yeah. Well, we were thrilled, of course, to get House Bill 105 through all the way, and also to have those two budget items survive this year. Very happy to see that.
Well, we thank you very much for all your hard work down there.
It's really our pleasure. It's a lot of fun.
Absolutely.
All right, and we'll see you guys tomorrow, either in person or on Zoom.
Great.
All right. Go ahead.
I'm sorry, Brian, were you wanting us to stay for the next agenda item also?
Yeah.
Please.
Yes, please.
Okay, terrific.
Okay, so that is it on agenda item 2025-6975. So we will move on to 2025-6941, continued discussion of potential federal lobbyist. Mr. Head, are you starting this one too?
I will be happy to do so.
Thank you.
So the request, I think, came from a council member to maybe consider bringing on a federal lobbyist. I know, it's very different work from what John and Zach do, to have someone actually in Washington, D.C. that does that. I think my job was to kind of give you a few sort of pros and cons. And so I'll just kind of run through a few things and then talk about a few options that you might want to consider if we do want to go down this path. And then I'm going to ask John and Zach to kind of give you kind of the benefit of their experience and how it sometimes works with a lobbyist and kind of let you know how they work with a federal lobbyist, because I do think it would be important, no matter what we do, that we have good integration between our state lobbyist and our federal lobbyist. So, you know, a lobbyist is going to be would be effective for us if we were seeking funding for some large scale project. Specifically, you know, earmarks. I mean, that's the name of the game. And if you're looking for something from a project, you also have the ability to influence policy. Although for a city of the size of Lee Summit, I think it's going to be much harder for us to influence policy. Now, if we were part of, I mean, we are part of National League of Cities, but if we were joining them, if we were joining Mark locally or someone like that and using our lobbyists to assist in some of those efforts, we might be able to have some impact there. But I think that would be difficult to have impact on. They also, though, will sometimes, you know, they'll have their ear to the ground and they'll hear about a spending bill that's coming up and there's an opportunity for some sort of project and maybe you can get put into that at the last minute. So they often will have their ear to the ground and they have those good relationships. And, you know, it's a lot of the same work that the state lobbyist does. So those are kind of the reasons you would want to do it. I think the memo that we received from John and Zach back in June that was part of your packet does talk a little bit about, so one of the more negative aspects, I would anticipate that the cost of a federal lobbyist will be substantially more than our cost for John and Zach, frankly. So we would need to be prepared for a significant outlay. And just by way of reminder, right now we're paying $60,000 a year for John and Zach. They're doing a great job for us. They got us $3.5 million. So when you do the return on investment, I think we're in pretty good spot right now. That would be harder to show at a federal level unless, you know, you just were able to knock one out of the park and get a big investment. These firms also, especially the federal firms, they represent a wide range, and, you know, they may very well have a client that we are not down with, but we're not going to be able to prohibit them from being able to have that client. I mean, there are a lot of conflicts when it comes to some of the lobbyists who take a kind of across the board clients. So one of the other negative aspects is when we are engaging in full on lobbying, there's reporting that the lobbyist has to do, but then there's also reporting that the city is required to do by federal law. And internally, we have to make sure that we are segregating those funds that we are receiving from that grant, and that we can assure the federal government that we are not using any federal funds to turn around and pay for lobbying. That's a big no-no. It does require some additional reporting, some additional staff time to do that. Not impossible. Cities do it all the time. I'm confident that we could do it without difficulty, but it is something we would have to be aware of as we go forward. If we did want to go down the path of a federal lobbyist, I mean, there are a couple of ways I see that you could do that. You could do it as sort of a general lobbyist that is just looking out for the city's interest. They, you know, have their ear to the ground. They're listening for opportunities. Or you could hire somebody that was more attuned with, as John and Zach mentioned in the memo, someone who's more in tune with a committee or committees or members that are aligned to a specific project. So the one that I have that comes to mind is, you know, 470 is a major project that we've identified that needs to happen in the fairly near future. I mean, it can't happen in real quick order, but it is something that we need to get into the planning. We need to start seeing some funds start coming forward on, so that over time that road can be approved, because we know it's a bottleneck. So you might want to look at a firm that just dealt primarily with transportation and budgeting committees in the House and or Senate that could provide insight and could provide guidance to how to go through the process to either move toward a grant or move toward an earmark or those kinds of things. So those are sort of two options. I will tell you, in the past, I would have been standing in front of you saying, I don't think the juice is worth the squeeze to go hire a federal lobbyist. I still question it, but given the last bill that was just passed with all of the earmarks and special little favors that were done left and right, I think the era of the refusal to do earmarks may be over. But that being said, we still do have Senator Hawley and Senator Schmidt who just very publicly announced that they do not do earmarks. They don't believe in pork. So you may be fighting a little bit of an uphill battle from Missouri to get some of those earmarks when your senators don't necessarily support that from a philosophical basis. They may support the project, but they don't support it from a philosophical basis. But given that last bill, things may have shifted a little bit in DC right now. So I do tend to think that for I-470, I don't know that Lee Summit standing alone can be super effective. That is a really tall order for a community of our size, even though we're greatly impacted by 470. With our lobbyists to go and be able to do this very large project, if we could find a way to partner with other entities, Mark, some of the planning agencies, other municipalities, and so on, and we all could come together to share a lobbyist for that specific task, I think that would be a fantastic way to go if we could bring a community of interest together to go after that subject. And there may be other subjects. That's just one that came to mind, and it's kind of an example. So, I mean, I do think then you can share costs. You can share. It shows community interest and community commitment, and all of those things. But that's just one. That's just one subject. There may be others that we want to think about, and it's just a kind of a get the ball rolling and start thinking about whether this is a path that we want to go down. Ultimately, if we do want to go down the path, I would just say from the city standpoint, we would need to go do your basic probably RFP, RFQ process. I'm not sure which it would fit into. We would have to go through that process, and then this committee you all would vet whoever this new lobbyist would be. You'd be the one probably to be doing some of the analysis of how it would work, and then ultimately we would take a recommendation toward council if that was the way we wanted to go. But I'm happy to take any questions, or we can ask John and Zach to kind of talk about their history with federal lobbyists and what their experience is.
Do we have any questions from the committee?
I do. I'll just wait till after. I'll wait till after we hear from John and Zach.
Okay. Councilmember Funk, do you have anything right now?
Not right now, no.
Okay, I do have one question real quick. Our surrounding communities, not including KC, because I'm sure they have a lobbyist, but like Independence, Blue Springs, everybody else that's really touched by the same transportation issues we are, do they have federal lobbyists?
I don't know. That is something we would need to find out.
That would be great. Thank you. Okay. If we want to, John or Zach, one of you want to?
Sure. Thank you. I'll
you.
jump in. I think Brian really laid it out well. Again, we are state level lobbyists. Do not hold ourselves out certainly to be federal lobbying experts. We will occasionally collaborate with lobbyists at the federal level on a common client. So we have some involvement interacting with them and just some sort of general knowledge. But again, not the authorities here on this topic. I think what's interesting and to sort of build on something Brian said is at the state level, most contract lobbyists are generalists. So you might have some focus, develop a stronger business with clients in a certain industry or a certain area or topic. But I'm having a really hard time coming up with a contract lobbying shop here that only does one specific type of thing, or that only lobbies one particular group, or whatever. And a lot of firms in DC are generalist firms, and they come in all sorts of shapes and sizes. They're enormous DC firms that are as big as large law firms and run in much the same way. But what's different there than here, for many of them, is that you also have the hyper specialized firms in DC that might only lobby on healthcare matters or on insurance matters, or they might only lobby this particular committee or subcommittees of this committee, or they only lobby Democrats or they only lobby Republicans. And then depending on what your issue is, then you're having to build a federal lobbying team that can address your issue with the people who are going to matter most to you achieving your objective. So it's getting into that, getting in with the people who run or who are influential on whatever committee you're going to be going to, who are of the who speak the same language as the party you're going to, as the political party who you're going to need to operate with. So you just get much more focused specialization with some of the folks lobbying in DC. So, to Brian's point about whether to get a sort of a general lobbyist or a focused lobbyist, particularly with the cost component involved there, if you know that you're really just wanting to engage somebody in order to pursue some road funding, and you don't have a general appetite or a broader appetite for services there, it might make the most sense to really just focus on someone who can help you get funding coming through the necessary committee structure there, and so you can sort of narrow your list of firms or individuals who you might invite to respond to your RFP. If you all received that memo, I mean, picking even a handful out of the whole sea of options over there would have been difficult. We provided one Democrat leading firm and one Republican leaning firm, both well connected, both highly regarded and busy shops. But really it just comes down to what you're going to be wanting to focus on and what you're going to want them to work on. And as I mentioned sort of at the beginning, and as I mentioned in the final paragraph here, we've worked well in the past with federal lobbyists who we share clients with, and we think it would also be beneficial in this case if you wind up retaining somebody at the federal level, whoever you might retain. We would of course be happy to engage with them also if there was a kind of a beneficial partnership, efficiencies and synergies to be seen there. So again, Zach, do you have anything you'd want to?
No, I think you've covered it very, very well. I mean, those specialized lobbyists, I mean, there's so many different shops and they have so many different interests. And I mean, the two we've suggested are just like the rest of them and have those. I mean, Sam Graves is going to be huge on funding, so got to have that relationship.
Yeah. And I'm sure I'm going to say it, but I'm sure you're not looking, to expand it even more. There are, depending on what your priority or your interest might be, there are plenty of principals, yeah, like you all, there are plenty of clients who hire across the board. They'll get a
Yeah.
Republican shop and a Democrat leaning shop, so they are able to cover all their bases, which again is going to, not help you keep costs down. But yeah, the market rate for lobbying firms in DC, as I said in the memo and as Brian mentioned, is just even saying exponentially doesn't quite get there. It's just a completely different universe, cost wise.
Yeah.
Okay, well, thank you for that information. Do we have any questions now, Mayor?
I think that my experience is it's really tough for us as council and mayor to perform the duties of lobbying. I mean, I feel like we did the first, my first 6 years, and ever since we've had John and Zach, it's been really advantageous. And I know that we got money in the past, but it was because we had really good representatives looking out for us and senators, which we still have, but we're able to really capitalize on it whenever there's these line item vetoes coming, and when there's so much on the line and so many years of work. So with the 470 example, I can't picture this getting done without that kind of relationship. We as council members and mayor come and go, and to sustain the relationship, we need that boots on the ground, the lobbyist. I like the idea of the specializing. So someone that understands and has close ties to the transportation and budgeting committees, such as the second one. I think the second one had the relationship with Graves. That seems like the direction to go. I don't know. I don't think you put any kind of cost. You just have said it's going to be a lot more. But like Mr. Head said at the beginning, 3.5 million this year, plus the conveyance of the land, if you think about that, and then just the previous years, the continued dollars that have come into the city via our efforts to have good relationships with the state. It's worth the commitment of dollars. So I'd be for it. I know that it might not be big dollars every year, but over the course of time, if we stay with it, I think there'd be a return on investment. And if we focus on the infrastructure and the transportation, I think that's the safest way to go. So, because we're going to have continued needs along those lines. And as far as the other cities, the council chairperson Carlisle was asking about, I've tried to talk to the other mayors. I've tried via the Eastern Jackson County Betterment Council. I've also, just over the years, we're, I think, a phenomenal city when it comes to regional collaboration and partnerships, but man, getting them all on board, as similar as we are, as similar as our issues are, it is not easy for the long term, sustaining that. So I don't really like going it alone, but if there's a way to do a memorandum of understanding between Mr. Head and some other city, that'd be great. But I don't know. I think the best way to go is to do what we can, focus on exactly what it is, what our goals are, and find a way to move forward with it. So that's just my opinion, though.
Thank you. Councilmember Funk, do you have anything?
I do not. I like what the mayor said. I think 470 is going to be a big undertaking, and I don't know how we get there unless we try to get something from the federal government. So I would be for moving this forward a little bit too.
Okay. Well, just so you know that in what was that, March we went to DC? Is that when it was? So when we went to DC, we did go and visit all of our reps and those who touch us barely and maybe just have a tiny bit or used to have a tiny bit of Lee Summit in their area, and talked about this issue of 470. So it's out there, and our reps and neighboring reps know that we're needing it and looking for it. But I think at this point, Mr. Head, if you could just get additional information regarding, those cities in like Eastern Jackson County and whatever, who does have a lobbyist? Does anyone have a lobbyist? Just so we have that information. I mean, Mayor's already discussed that he has had this discussion with neighboring mayors and whatnot, and I understand how, yeah, go ahead, Mayor.
So whenever I spoke to them, like what I had proposed was that we do it through the Eastern Jackson County Betterment Council. We just can't. We've checked with our attorneys and we can't lobby together. In fact, it's more of a collaborative, stay in touch with the other type of group rather than an action item group. So it's just set up a certain way. I can't remember, council member, how or what, but it's set up as some kind of nonprofit that we can't lobby out of. So I think it'd have to be with the other cities, like let's say Independence, because it's 470 and it's a shared road, that type of thing.
Yeah, but I think I know Blue Springs, it might come out that far. I don't know if it does, but they have a shared right in 472 because 470 hits 40 and 40 goes straight to Blue Springs. So I would check with him too, but just saying that, let's check and see who does have a lobbyist. If they have a federal lobbyist, who are they? And then get information on whether they like them, they don't like them, just all those things. So just so that we have the information, I think the more information we have to make these decisions, the better off we are. And then also let's look at cost, like give us an idea of cost so that we aren't sending something onto the full council saying, yeah, we want to do this, but we have no idea what it's going to cost us, right? I think that's unreasonable to ask the full council to look at something that we don't know what's going to cost. So if we could get those things.
I know that Kansas City does have a lobbyist, a federal lobbyist, and
I figured they did, yeah.
I actually just talked with some of the attorneys from Kansas City this weekend. We had our conference at the lake for the Missouri Municipal Attorneys Association. Exciting group of people. So I can give one of them a call and just find out who they use and if they can share with me about what they pay. I mean, it may be that they pay a rate and it depends on what they use too.
Right.
So
yeah, well, if we could just get that information. And like I said, I figured Kansas City, they're big enough, they're going to have them, but I don't know about the other smaller communities around us if they have them.
Independence and Overland Park were the only ones listed last year in the Senate's database. But
Independence, did you say?
Yeah, but that could have been for something very specific.
Okay.
We don't know without pulling it. And it looked like it was around $25,000 a quarter. That's what they were paying for it.
And I know the city attorney there well as well, so I can ask that question.
I would also reach out to Grandview just because they sit right there on 49, right? So if they have a lobbyist, or if because a lot of work has been done to 49, so look into who and how,
Sorry, if I can just
please
butt back in to what the clerk just mentioned. It'd be interesting to know what services they were getting for 20 to 25,000 a quarter.
Yeah, it's hard to tell. You can't read from those reports. They're not. I mean, they're not.
Yeah, I'm sorry we couldn't get sort of off the cuff bids from anybody, but when we just sort of the conventional wisdom or conventional observations we've had are sort of 10x Missouri rates are not uncommon.
Yeah. I think Overland Parks was in the hundreds of thousands plus a year. Yeah.
Yeah. So, whereas our contract at $5,000 a month, for instance, with you all, is kind of right in the sweet spot strike zone in Missouri. That's a very common price point in Missouri. Yeah, in DC, 30 to 50 a month is would not make anyone would not turn any heads. So, and again, it depends on the project, depends on the client, or not, it depends on the lobbying shop, it depends on all sorts of things. But yeah, but if they're just providing monitoring services, if they're just, doing one specific little thing that
And does anybody have anything else on this item? Nope, doesn't look like it. Okay, we are at Roundtable. Thank you, John and Zach, for joining. I don't think we need you to stay any longer, but you're welcome to if you'd like. I know we're very exciting people. So,
I love city council meetings and committee meetings.
I'm sure.
Yeah, well, Zach is looking forward to seeing you all in person tomorrow night, and I'm looking forward to seeing you from some sort of roadside rest area, probably in central Illinois, via the Zoom link.
Okay, Mayor, did you have something real quick before they go?
Yeah, well, these guys are awesome and we appreciate all they do. And we really want to celebrate the Green Street Market and Pavilion grand opening next month. So hopefully you got that on your calendar, August 15th. It's going to be a big celebration for us. It's gorgeous and there's going to be a lot of people here, and we really would love it if you could make it to that.
Fabulous.
It's the state of the city and then the ribbon cutting right afterwards. So, and then we're going to have live music and food trucks and have fun.
Wonderful.
Awesome. All right. Thank you, guys.
Thank you. Talk to you soon.
Have a great day.
You too.
Okay, so Roundtable. Did we have any Roundtable from the committee? No? Staff?
Yeah, we do need to talk about when this meeting occurs. I mean, we've stayed with the date that we have previously, and I know this doubles up the same day that you all have Public Works Committee meeting, and I know the chair is on both committees. So right now, looking at the calendar, and I think Councilmember Carlisle, Chair, we sent you this info. But right now, this meeting could easily be held, either continue it on the second Monday, or we could move it to the third Monday. Either one of those are fine, but it's entirely up to you all where you would like for that meeting to go to.
And I will just say that I have asked them to look at a new date because it is difficult for me to get away for an hour meeting in the middle of the day and then also leave, early for another committee meeting at the end of the day. So 2 in 1 day is just a little bunch for me. But if the committee cannot move it, then I'll just find a way to make it work. Please, Mayor.
I'll be flexible for you. I'll do it on whatever.
So the third Monday would work instead of the second Monday?
That's fine. Or if you want to move it to 4 o'clock, whatever's convenient for you, council member, because
unless it would be easier for somebody else to move it to 4. I mean, the middle of the day really isn't an issue. I mean, there's always going to be something that'll creep up sometime, but that's for any day at any time, right?
So I'm flexible on my end. That's all.
Okay, thank you.
Same with me. Sure, Carlisle, I'm flexible. If it works for you to move to the third Monday, I'm fine with that, or time, doesn't matter. You pick.
That would be fantastic. So just for staff, I think leaving it in the middle of the day over the lunch hour might be easier than giving them another end of the day meeting. So I'm good with moving it to the third Monday of the month from 11:30 to 12:30, or 11:30 to whenever we're done. So if that's good with everybody else, Councilmember Funk, did you have something?
I was just going to say that's perfect. Sorry.
Okay, perfect. Thank you.
The next one would be August 18th at 11:30.
All right.
Isn't that a Monday? That's a Monday though. Right?
Yeah, it's the third Monday of the month.
All right, got it.
Let me just make sure. Oh. Okay, yep. Works for me. Everybody else? Perfect. Thank you guys. Okay, anything else, staff, for Roundtable?
I don't have anything.
Nothing, Gina?
No.
Miss City Clerk for the day?
No, not at all. Gina, will you be sure to let Trisha know and AV so they can swap the calendars and schedules around?
Okay. Anything else from anyone else? Nope. Okay, we are going to adjourn this meeting at 12:23. Thanks, guys. See you later.